What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. We've got to talk about the finale of the Family Chantel, and I'm talking finale, not season finale, because there's not going to be another season of the show now that the divorce is over and done with. I gotta say, it was very emotional. Chantel left the show just in tears and everything, and my heart couldn't have been any more broken for her. But let's just back things on up to the very beginning before we get there, shall we? So remember how Pedro's mom and sister had sent a voodoo box featuring a coffin and whatnot to Chantel's family? Well, and then we saw Chantel pack her bags and say that she wanted to go to the Dominican Republic to confront them once and for all. Well, her parents refused to go with her because her mother said, when I burnt that voodoo, I sent the spell back to sender, so there's nothing more for me to do. Her husband only follows her and does what she says, so he didn't want to go either, of course, which I love. I love their relationship. And so the person who was stuck going with her was her brother, River, which was really sweet, though, I have to say. Now, I also have to say, speaking of random remarks, it's rather funny to me that we're supposed to believe that the day they received this package, they set it on fire. Chantel packs her bags. She packs her brother's bags. And then they get a flight, book it the same day, and they're ready to go to the airport. And it all seems to happen within 5 minutes because the sunlight, the amount of sunlight they were getting doesn't change. I found that hilarious. I love little quirky kind of come on now sort of things about, reality television. So that definitely tickled me. So she gets to the DR, and the next morning she decides to FaceTime Pedro to let him know that she received the voodoo box, okay? And that she is in the Dominican Republic. And she also says that she changed his life. She really wants him to know and feel like he is nothing without her, which I don't know. I get what she's saying, that she did give him a really powerful, access to a powerful passport and whatnot, which is true, right? Like the Dominican passport compared to the American passport, even though Pedro doesn't have it yet, is apples to oranges. One can open your door, get you to a bunch of countries visa free, and the other one can't really do that for you. So I get it, But then when she says things like, oh, if it wasn't for me, you'd be barefoot on a dirt road eating chicken feet, I was like, oh, girl, it's giving racist. That's a bit much, to be honest with you. I don't know why she went that deep. I know she's angry. I know she's hurt. But then when she insults an entire country, trying to act like everybody there is barefoot, eating chicken feet in the middle of the road, jobless and stuff like that, is it's too much. Remember, Pedro's mom, Lydia, is a lawyer in the Dominican Republic. They were not living in poverty or anything like that. They were living pretty well. And when we look at their home, it's a beautiful home. And then when we look around the city and everything, there's a lot of good architecture and life and stuff like that. So I really didn't appreciate that comment that she made. And I hope that she kind of regrets that at this point. So then she says, she literally tells Pedro that she commands him and his family to meet with her. She says, there is a demon inside of you, and I want to talk to the demon in you and command it to leave and whatnot. It was so, I was like, girl, you truly are your mother's daughter, because her mother is off too. And you can see it in Chantel that they've got the exact same mannerisms and ways of speaking. So here's what I got to say, because I love her mom, even though her mom is problematic as well. She's a problematic fave of mine, as the kids say. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that Chantel finds somebody. Because this is her goal, right? If she didn't want this and she didn't campaign so hard for this, I wouldn't say this, but she talks about it all the time. She wants to find somebody to fall in love with, get married, and have kids with. So I hope that for her. And I hope that when she gets that, we get a reality show of her new life so we can see how she interacts with this baby, because I am willing to bet that she's going to be exactly like her mom. Every year she gets more and more similar, and I love it. So now, it's time for Chantel to meet with, her ex-husband and his family, and she really wanted him to regret losing her. So what happens? She shows up in a very inappropriate outfit for a nice afternoon on a terrace. It's a super duper tight black dress. It's too small for her because her boobs are practically spilling out of it and everything. Then she has these beautiful, I think they were LV shades. And then she has these heels, and they had another logo plastered on it. I'm sorry, but and I love Chantel. I think she's beautiful. I think she's quirky. I think she's fun. And I think she's got a good heart. but she looked very tacky, you know, and she was kind of giving like daylight hooker a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit with this look. It was very inappropriate for like, you know, the ambiance. I felt like it was better for at night. Okay. But again, every time she sees Pedro, she is trying her best to look as sexy as possible. Because remember, when they went to the real estate agent's office, what was she wearing? It was like a pink pantsuit, I think, with like the highest heels and then I think her boobs as usual are floating out of it. And it's the highest heels that she could barely even walk in. Like she really wants this man to know like he had a hot ex-wife. And it's true. She is a hottie toddy. Okay. So now she's not yet at the restaurant. That's just what she was wearing to go to the restaurant. So Pedro and his mom and sister are getting ready to go as well and meet her there. And they receive a phone call. And it's a woman speaking in Spanish, but the Spanish ain't Spanishing, okay? So they're like, who is this? And then they go, oh, wow, it's Karen. So basically she says, I burnt the voodoo. I sent it back to you guys. And guess what? I burnt the voodoo with Pedro's soul in it. Oh my God, the way I laughed. She is hilarious. And she's telling the camera at this point that she called them to kind of like, you know, she's like, after this call, they're going to be a lot softer with Chantel because they're going to have like my voice, like a memory, like, you know, they're going to be thinking of me because I just like let them know what's up basically. And so it was really sweet that despite the fact that she didn't want to go all the way to the DR with Chantel, she still was supporting her from back at home. And I thought that was really, really beautiful, to be honest with you guys. So Chantel and her brother River are the first to get to the restaurant. So it's this outside beautiful terrace, beautiful summer day. And so they start saging all the seats and the table, the area, and then they start sprinkling holy water and everything, which is hilarious in and of itself. But then when you look around at the area, you know that it's like a bunch of people just minding their own business. Like there's tourists, there's locals, like on the chairs, and they're like, what is this? And so they start getting up and they're filming and they're taking pictures of like how crazy these like random people are. And then when you think of what it is that they're wearing, right? It's a nice, hot, beautiful, warm day in the mid-afternoon, and her brother's in a full suit. And she is like dressed like this, you know, it's just such a funny sight. And they're saging and they're holy watering the place. It's just hilarious. This show is so camp, you guys. So now they start confronting Pedro and his family, and Chantel whips out a crucifix. Talk about the power of Christ compels you. Oh my God. Please come back to reality TV, Chantel. So at this point, Chantel starts accusing Pedro of boning his entire office, cheating on her with everybody, being in love with Karaima the entire time. And as she yells and gets more angry, the higher her voice, the higher her boobs. You know, they start like pouring out a little bit more and more. I don't know why. I feel like this is an Atlanta thing because when I watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta, I think it's the only housewife show, maybe Beverly Hills too, where the boobs are like on top, like you have your bra here and then your boobs are spilling out on top of it. Like they put the bra as like an under shelf support. Like what is with them and like the amount of boobage? I feel like boob is a really big thing for them. And so it's so fascinating to me because I find it to be a lot. To me, I don't like this look. I find it to be a little bit vulgar, to be honest with you. But I digress. I guess it's the vibe over there, but whatever. So, yeah, so as she's yelling, like her boobs are just flailing around and it's very distracting. And so Pedro denies everything she says. He's like, I never cheated on you. I was only ever in love with you, Chantel. And then she's like, you were in love with Karaima the entire time. You posted that selfie right after, like you get here after our divorce and everything. And I feel like Pedro, like if you really are this nice, good guy that you claim that you are, why can't you just tell this woman who is very clearly hurting that the girl that she thinks you are secretly in love with is engaged. She's going to be married to somebody else. That there's nothing there for you guys. You know, help her that way. Like, I feel like that would have helped calm Chantel down and feel better to know that. But I feel like he gets off on her being so like hysterical over him that he's not willing to give her that. And I really don't like that about him. And I think he's lying when he says he wasn't in love with Karaima because in that episode, we saw him go to the bar talking about, oh, like, you know, I've always liked her. You've always had great legs. He's over there reaching over to touch her legs. And then he wanted to ask her out. That's what he told us in his confessional, right? That he wanted to ask her out and everything. And then you see that he's disappointed when he finds out that she's engaged to someone else. So if you were not in love with her at any point, Pedro, why did you go back to the DR specifically, seek her out to ask her out to be your girlfriend, to ask her on dates and stuff like that. Like, it's really like, he's so shady. I don't believe anything that this guy says whatsoever. Now, I gotta say, by the way, Pedro's sister, Nicole, is so annoying. He and Chantel were hashing this out. And by the way, I don't even understand why the sister and the mom were there. Like, it was just Chantel and Pedro going at it together, which is fine. They were the ones who were married, right? But like, his sister was yapping around in the background like a damn chihuahua, attacking Chantel constantly, instead of just letting the two of them, like, you know, duke it out. And I'm happy that both he and Chantel kept on ignoring her. She was just like looking stupid in the background, insulting Chantel, talking to herself. Even Chantel's brother, who's really protective over her, didn't indulge it. And I was like, good, don't engage, just leave her alone, and she'll shut up eventually, which, you know, she did until the very end. So now, there was a time, though, I do have to say, that was rather like touching and moving, which is when Chantel is really, really hysterical and stuff, which, you know, listen, she was played with, and like, she feels betrayed, and she feels like her entire marriage and relationship was a lie. And that was a 7-year relationship. So I understand the trauma that she's dealing with. And so Pedro really does calm her down at a certain point. And he's like, listen, I know I was not a good husband. She was like, you were a terrible husband. He's like, you know what? I was a terrible husband. You were right. And so she just keeps saying all the things that he was awful at, and he kept agreeing. And I'm like, thank you, Pedro, for finally just acknowledging these things, validating her feelings and her perceptions. I think she really, truly needed that. And I'm happy that she got that, because she deserved that at the end of the day, at the very least, right? And she just, you know, even though he's giving her all this, she tells him that she doesn't forgive him, which she is well within her right to not forgive him. But like, she just keeps getting wound up more and more and more. And then you just see her get up from the table. That's what the screenshot is from. And she goes to like the sidewalk area, and she's just crying hysterically. Like, her heart is so broken. This girl was so in it. She wanted to be with this man forever, and all of that was taken away from her. Then she's got his family taunting her in the background and everything. Like, it's got to be so damn painful. It's playing out on television and everything. Like, it's just really devastating. And so her brother just says, listen, we got to go, 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 go. If you feel this way, then let's go. There's no point, you know, sitting here like this. Like, you look crazy, basically. He doesn't tell her that, but it's the truth. She looks crazy. Pack up your crucifix, pack up your holy water, pack up your sage, and let's go back home. So they get to the hotel, and, you know, he was being so nice to her, talking her off the ledge. Oh, wait, before they go back to the hotel, something really irritated me that would wind me back up again, which is Pedro getting up. Like, he's like this nice, great, calm guy after he drove her to this place, right? Like, his cheating, his lying, his manipulation, his omissions drove her to this place where she looks like hysterical and crazy, and he looks like calm and normal. And he's like, Chantel, I wish you the best. Like, how condescending and annoying is that from the person who drove you to this place? Like, I really don't like when guys do this sort of thing. It's just not cool. So anyway, they get to the hotel room, and her brother is very kindly talking her off the ledge. And then her supportive ass mom calls her to check in as well. Like, her mom might be kooky, but she loves that girl, and she protects her in the best way that she knows how every step of the way. And it really is a beautiful thing to see. Now, back in Pedro's world, he is talking to his mom and sister. They are driving back home from the confrontation and everything. And he's telling them that he feels very disappointed that Chantel doesn't believe a thing he says. She's like, well, there's no point. She doesn't believe anything. She doesn't believe I ever loved her. And, you know, I found that to be very sad. And to be honest with you guys, I feel like he believes that in a certain, way. But at the same time, I feel like everything Chantel's saying is true. He's shady. I feel like, you know, he cheated. I feel like he was secretly in love with Karima this entire time. Like, so I don't buy anything he says, to be honest with you guys. And then to end out the episode, which, by the way, felt very light and very short. This entire season was very light and very short. I think it was only like 6 episodes in total, which is short for like a season of a show, right? Especially a TLC show, which are usually running forever. So what happens? Yeah, there's a montage of happier times in their relationship. We see their wedding. We see them just being lovey-dovey with one another and everything. And, you know, they're just so baby-faced and young. And it's just really, really heartbreaking, you know, and sad to watch how it all played out. Heartbreak sucks. You know, the end of like major relationships, you know, it sucks, you know, when one of them is still in love and everything to see play out. And one thing I do want to point out at the very end was when they're at their wedding, the officiant declares them husband and wife, right? And so someone says, you guys are married. And so Pedro goes, oh, thank God. Like, oh, you know, he's breathing a sigh of relief. And then it's just interesting. They don't play the divorce part, but do you guys remember very earlier on into this season, I think episode 2, Pedro and Chantel are at the real estate agent's office, and the agent acknowledges that they're going through a divorce. And so Chantel's like, oh, we're already divorced. And then Pedro goes, thank God. Oh, and he breathes a sigh of relief. Oh, and I'm like, wow, isn't that interesting that like, it's almost like the same sigh of relief that he had for getting married was the same one that he had for getting divorced. You know, it's like, it's just the way he expresses himself. And I found that to be very, very fascinating, poetic almost, like in a sad, somber way, and just really depressing, to be honest with you. Listen, I am wishing Chantel and her family the best moving forward. I am not wishing the worst for Pedro and his family, but I am just not wishing them anything, to be honest with you guys, because I really don't like the way that they handled this and the way that they were constantly meddling and insulting Chantel and everything. Like, these two came off like total witches. And I really don't care for them. But again, I'm wishing the best for Chantel and her family moving forward. It was really interesting to watch this season of the show, and I hope this isn't the end for them in reality TV. I know that it was just announced that Chantel is going to be a part of the cast for TLC's new dating show featuring the 90 Day Fiancé cast. The way that they are bleeding this cast dry, you know, what do you call it? Like when you really find success in something and you keep on pumping it out, like that's what they're doing. And I'm saying, you know what? I used to complain about it and be tired of it, but now I'm like, you know what? Like there are a couple of really good gems in here. So I will be tuning in for that because it's going to be different from like the usual kind of spinoffs that they do. So stay tuned for recaps on that as well, you guys. And if you haven't, do make sure to subscribe to my channel for more pop culture videos in general as well. Let me know what you thought about this episode and, you know, even the entire season of Family Chantel, or maybe Chantel and Pedro's relationship, anything that you've got to say. Lydia and Scott's relationship, or whatever you want to talk about in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.